A lot of trending homeschool habits look really peaceful on the outside, but they end up collapsing once the real work begins. Nordic habits is one of those trending terms, especially during winter time. And what's not to love? Minimal spaces, slow mornings, calm learning, nature-centered days. It all sounds lovely. And I'm not going to come on here and tell you that any of these ideas are evil. They're just incomplete. When you try to build a homeschool on atmosphere instead of structure, the cost of that choice shows up really fast in lost focus, in resistance from your kids, and in exhaustion for you. I'm Ashley Buffa, and I have been homeschooling now for almost 2 decades. I have 11 children, 3 of them already graduated. And I have learned, mostly the hard way, that peace in a homeschool is not created by trends. It is created by order, leadership, and consistency. So let's go ahead and walk through several popular Nordic habits that I have personally seen homeschoolers working to adopt into their own homeschools. Let's talk about what they get right and where it all falls apart. And let's also talk about what actually makes some of these habits work. Habit number 1, minimal environments. Okay, so minimal homeschool environments, you know which ones I'm talking about. They emphasize beige, completely clear and empty surfaces, and removing any materials that might cause a distraction. And yes, I am in complete agreement. Order does matter, absolutely. And visual chaos does fragment attention, for sure. But here's where I disagree. Minimalism in and of itself does not equal order. Minimalism removes things. Order arranges things. When a homeschool strips away all of the books that might not possibly be read, all of the charts, all of the tools, and all of the materials in the name of calm, children are not actually learning how to focus there. What they're learning is only how to engage when there's absolutely no distraction whatsoever. Minimalism does not form children. Good taste, attention, and affections are actually formed by living around and within real beauty. Books that are used, objects that are beautiful and have meaning, spaces that reflect purpose and history. Beige walls and empty shelves do not elevate the mind. What they actually do is they empty the environment of anything that is actually worth paying attention to. Now, a healthy homeschool has these things: clear surfaces and open spaces. We can all agree on that. Visible, practical tools that support the daily work. It is not an absence of things, but it is an ordered presence of the right things. Habit number 2, predictable daily flow. Now, obviously, this is one that I largely agree with. A predictable daily flow creates so much peace for both the children and the mother because everyone knows what to expect next in the day. I've spoken about this many, many times. Predictability lowers children's anxiety levels and it helps them settle into their work. But this is where a lot of families actually end up getting stuck. Rhythms only work when it is the adult that is driving the rhythm. When no one is setting start times or making sure that transitions happen or deciding what happens next, the day starts unraveling. Children are not going to be able to relax into a rhythm unless someone is actually driving that rhythm. Consistency in the day-to-day is what really creates peace. Habit number 3, slow mornings and unhurried starts. Okay, so slow, cozy mornings are often sold as gentle, and they're emotionally safe and regulating. And I completely agree, children should not start their days in chaos. But a slow morning that is lacking focus, direction, and expectations is honestly just a waste. What ends up happening when you have slow mornings is something that looks a little bit like this. Your actual homeschool work ends up starting late. Making those transitions in between subjects is so much harder. your day never really gathers any momentum whatsoever. It's just lagging. But when mornings actually begin with clear expectations, something beautiful happens. Children learn that calm and responsibility actually exist together. Habit number 4, early child independence. So independence is a fantastic goal, and I am all for it. But the thing is, independence is not something that you can just give to your children. It is something that you have to help them build. True independence comes from training, it comes from consistency, and most importantly, it comes from loving authority. What oftentimes gets labeled as independence is, in fact, just the adult stepping out too early. This becomes most apparent with all of the child-led learning that is running rampant today and the whole unschooling idea. Neither of those two things actually produce any sort of independence. All it produces is children who think that they have to be the one in charge because no one else is. Okay, so I am all for getting my children to a point where they are independent. Nobody wants their child living in their basement when he or she is 25 years old. Okay, that's not the goal that anybody ever sets. But when you have your child doing child-led learning or unschooling, or even just you're trying to have your child be independent with his schoolwork before he's ready, what ends up happening is the child ends up figuring out the bare minimum that he or she needs to do in order to satisfy mom that schooling is actually happening. And that bare minimum ends up becoming the new standard. So, independence is fantastic, but independence has to be earned, and it needs to be earned incrementally. We can't just let our children loose and expect that they are going to choose the right things for their education. That's not the way this works. That is not the way a successful homeschool works, and it's not the way that parenting works. Parents were put in authority over their children by God, and it is time they start acting like it. Habit number 5, cozy learning. Okay, now listen, I am going to be the first person to admit that coziness is lovely and it is wonderful. It is freezing cold outside and we have our fire going all throughout the day. And really the only thing that I want to do is sit in front of that fire with my nice wool blanket and drink warm drinks, okay? I am a huge fan of coziness. When we can, we move the school into the sitting room around the fireplace, but that is not happening when the children are doing their math. It is not happening when the children are doing their composition. They need to be at the table during those times with the proper posture and the proper focus on their work. So when do we move it around the fire? Well, we do that during quiet reading time. We do it during read aloud time, and it is absolutely lovely, and there's nothing wrong with being cozy during those times. However, when we elevate coziness as the goal in place of actual education, that is where we get into trouble. So it requires attention, and it requires discipline, and it requires proper posture in order to have proper handwriting. And none of these things can happen on the couch with a cozy blanket. So coziness has its time and it has its place, and I am a huge fan of it. However, there are some things that need to be done with discipline at the table, even during the winter time. Habit number 6, nature-centered days. I am also going to be the first person to admit that I am not really an outdoor person, and I never have been. I would much rather be in a climate-controlled environment with a book. That's just how I've always been, even as a child. However, I also 100% believe in and support that our children function best when they have a large amount of exposure to the great outdoors. We live out in the country on 11 acres, and I have 8 boys. 8 of my children are boys. And my girls really love to be outside too, I will say. So I am not in any way, shape, or form advocating that you stop allowing your children to be outside. What I am advocating for is that nature, the great outdoors, is not the be-all, end-all, and it certainly does not equal an education. So we have to put education first. Now, this does not mean that you cannot have outside breaks throughout the day, and that once your children are done, they can't spend hours outside. Mine do. I mean, I drive a really structured, diligent homeschool, but my children are still spending probably around 4 hours a day or more outside. So this is not an either or situation. It is not I'm trying to reach this nebulous idea of 1,000 hours outside every year. So I'm going to put that first instead of their actual education. Just spending time outside is not an actual education. An education involves instruction and it involves repetition. So if you decide to move your lessons outside, sure, I'm all for it. Go ahead. But if your children are not receiving instruction from you or from a teacher or from, a video or whatever, they're not getting an education. Just playing outside is not an education. They still need explicit teaching and ordered work. The beautiful thing here is that nature can and should complement what you are doing in your school, but nature is not a substitute for school. So here is the common thread throughout all of these Nordic habits. These habits are all really appealing because they really echo deeper principles that we all can 100% agree upon. Order, rhythm, restraint, beauty, simplicity. But when all of those principles are just reduced to aesthetics, they really won't get you anywhere in a real homeschool. A peaceful homeschool cannot be built on atmosphere alone. What ends up happening when that is the goal is that mothers end up failing and they end up blaming themselves instead of the lack of structure and framework in their homeschools. So if you want a homeschool that feels calm and it feels ordered and it feels purposeful and not just peaceful in theory, instituting another one of these habits is not the answer. I would invite you to check out my Homeschool Schedule Blueprint. That is linked in the description box below. It offers clear daily structures that you set up for your real life, predictable rhythms, and adult-led systems that reduce resistance so that your homeschool can actually function efficiently and well day by day. But if you feel like you're past the point of just needing a schedule and what you really need is some leadership training and accountability and help with your goals and help fine-tuning your systems, I would invite you to check out the Headmistress Circle. This is where I teach mothers how to lead their homeschools with confidence, make decisions without second guessing, and build consistency that lasts in their homeschool. The link for that is also below. So if this clarified what has been missing in your homeschool, please subscribe. There's tons more content like this coming.